Okay, we're going to take a couple of minutes and talk about developing positive character traits. Parents are responsible for the growth and development of their children. And successful parents have a specific and active plan for promoting that development and growth. And sometimes that's based on what they want to create in the child, and sometimes that's based on misbehavior or problems that the parents see need to be remedied. In either case, sometimes the answer to the situation the parent is facing is to develop positive character traits in their children. And in order to do that, there's several things the parent has to be able to do. One is they have to be able to understand the trait that they want to instill in the child. They have to be able to model the trait for their children. They have to be able to discuss the trait with the child, and then finally they have to be able to identify that trait as it exists in regular everyday life. So understand, model, discuss, and identify. So let's talk about understand first. As parents, if we want to develop positive character traits in our children, we have to be able to define what those traits are. And so you may want to ask yourself the question, can you define, in a sentence or less, honesty, empathy, integrity? How would you define that? Not only for yourself, but how would you define it for your child? So you could explain that briefly, simply, easily for the child. We have to be able to define the term. We also have to understand what it looks like. What does honesty look like? What does integrity look like? If we were seeing it, what would we see? And then finally, we have to be able to understand how we would demonstrate that. How would you demonstrate honesty or empathy? How would you show that to the child? Because that's step number 2, is being able to model that trait for the child. And anytime we're teaching children, there's at least 3 basic steps that we have to have. One is we have to tell them what we're going to teach them. And then we have to teach it. And then we have to tell them what we just taught them. So in the case of modeling honesty, for example, we would want to show them what honesty looks like. And we have to tell them, we're going to talk about honesty. I'm going to show you about honesty. Easy way to do that with kids is with games. Kids love games, and games offer an opportunity to give examples of things. So a great honesty game is the game Go Fish. In my house, the Go Fish cards actually have fish on them. And as you know, when you play Go Fish, everybody has a hand of cards. And one player asks another player, do you have any starfish? And the other player responds. Now the rules say that to ask for starfish, you've got to have at least 1 starfish in your hand. And the rules also say that if you're asked if you have any starfish, and you do have starfish, you have to tell them that you do. And you have to give all the starfish you have to whoever asks for them. Can you see the examples of honesty here? Because at any point in time, they can decide not to be honest. But they can be honest as well. So in the game, we say we're going to play this game, and it's a game about honesty, and you're going to be asked questions, and you're going to have to ask questions based on the truth. And so we play the game. And so we tell them we're going to play the game, we play the game, and then we talk about what happens after the game. We talk about what they saw and what happened. Which brings us to the third part. Because after we've modeled the behavior and we've showed them, look, I'm being honest, I have starfish, I'm going to give all 3 starfish. Even though I was going to ask for people for starfish next time, I'm going to give all my starfish to you and you'll have a full hand. So we talk about that afterwards and we say, did you notice what happened? Noticing is a very important word when we're coaching and teaching our children. Notice refers to what we took in, what we saw at the time. And that's a very important word to use. Did you notice this or that? Or what did you notice? So we talk about what we noticed. We talk about what happened. Well, we played this game. And Sally asked Junior for starfish. And Junior said he didn't have any starfish. or they asked for starfish and they did have starfish. But in any case, we're practicing honesty. And then we talk about what happened, and this may be the most important part. We talk about what happened because Junior gave up all his starfish. Well, then Sally had all the starfish, and she had a match, and we were able to play the game. And so we emphasize what happens when we have the honest behavior. And then finally, we identify that in real life. And we point that out when we see honest or dishonest behavior. And so our child comes home and says, I don't want to play with so-and-so anymore today because we're playing tag, and I tagged him, and he said I didn't tag him, and it happened 3 times. Well, that looks like it's an honesty question. See, sounds like you don't think he was honest. How did you feel when that happened? What happened because we weren't honest? We ask the questions, illustrate the points. And that's how we develop positive character traits.